good number compared to what you can do without it. Along with credit card, I think what you also see with many of these games is the loss that you have from either fraud or from largely from fraud can be very high. And so even the users who are paying for the 2% of your audience that are paying with credit cards, you could be losing that revenue on fraud, or repeat users may not be converting as well, and that's where we focus on. So simplicity and driving conversion is as integral to credit card purchase as it is to mobile phone. And I think there are different elements that go into play. The call to action has to be very clear as well. You collect different information depending on which geographies the user is coming from, how much you already know about the user. The fraud checks that you put in place are very different depending on how and what you know about the user. And that's what comes into play largely for credit card purchases versus, for example, mobile payments.
Cool. So if we could, I'd like to compare this then. So another example someone gave us something that was nice was the idea of doing multiple offer walls that are rotated and optimized by geography. And Ron, I know this was the one that you called out, and I thought it was interesting because as we're talking about the ease and simplicity, taking something that seems very onerous in terms of an offer wall and figuring out a way to simplify it seems interesting to me.
So in looking at Serious Business's business, they have a couple apps on Facebook, Rock Legends and Friends for Sale, that are top 25. They found that in optimizing the revenue, when they had multiple offer walls, they saw a 20% lift. And then when they actually optimized the offer walls per geography, so they saw another 20% lift. And when we're talking about closing the penny gap, as Josh Koppelman calls it, you want to find a way that you monetize people, whether it's mobile offers. And sort of our philosophy is you want as many opportunities as possible for you to monetize your customers. Mobile being a fantastic one because it's low friction. But in this case, you see the offer walls, which include the different kinds of payments, but the specific different kinds of offers. Customers tend to repeat and do multiple offers, and giving them as much inventory as possible, and specific targeted inventory, so targeted to the customer as well as targeted to the geography, draws on the strengths of the different offer providers.
Adam and Nick, how do you guys think about trying to get the right offers or more offers or keeping your ad inventory refreshed?
Look, I think both companies add, hundreds of offers per day to the system and rotate through, and the ones that perform go to the top of the page, and the ones that don't quickly fall off. I had a couple of questions or thoughts though on Ron's example. While this can add some lift, it does come with some costs, and one of the big ones is around customer service, because when you work with multiple offer providers and a user fills out an offer on one provider, they don't typically know which provider they've filled out the offer with, so they don't get their points and they complain. The company, in this case Serious Business, has much more difficulties trying to determine who to talk to from a customer service perspective. So, the other thing is that when a user fills out an offer on the offer wall platform, we don't actually get to see that. So we would continue to show the same offer on our side without knowing deducted or taken away. So in some ways, the targeting can be reduced and monetization take a hit from having too many offer walls.
So Adam, what's the solution? Is it just, I have to choose to use Adam and not anybody else? Or is there something that people move forward with other ideas?
No, look, I do think there's some sense of targeting geographically, and different companies have different strengths in different geographies. And there's also some benefit in just refreshing the offers that are shown to a user on any one particular time. So the mixing it up does have some benefit, but this is more than just trying to eke out a 2% or a 3% benefit on any particular day. It goes a lot more to the nature of the service level that's provided, the customer service, the control over chargebacks. I mean, there's a lot of other aspects to this business as opposed to just who's making more or less by 3% on any one particular day.
It's fair to say, though, as a publisher, if you can invest in the infrastructure to be able to test and optimize, a 40% lift is substantial. And at any one point, the guys in Serious Business had 8 offer walls that they're testing. And I went and took a snapshot and saw that there were only 2. So it can be the way that you start out, and to Adam's point, you might end up having chosen the best offer provider for Germany as being a different best offer provider for Korea.
The Serious Business has done a much better job of doing this with the geo-targeting than a lot of people. A lot of people just employ the tab system. So you can have 2, 3, 4 offer walls in a tab, and there's zero targeting happening. And that is when the problem that Adam pointed out happens the most. I can go from one tab, fill out Blockbuster, to the next, to the next, to the next, and that's great. I get a lot of virtual currency. but the advertiser comes back within 30 days, and the last 4 or whatever that they filled out are poor leads, and they're charged back. So it's not always the best system to employ.
Cool. So the next example, and Adam had this 10-second rule, and I actually laughed. So I don't know. The first time I looked at the slide, I was like, I don't understand. It says you're broke. It says a place like you can't click. And then I read what Adam wrote to me, and I realized, oh, there's a real problem there. Is it just says, okay, you're broke, Lisa. There's nothing to do about it. So Adam, if you want to chat about that a little bit.
So again, the whole point of these games is to enable the consumer to monetize when they really want to monetize, and that's improving user experience and their enjoyment of the game. The game on the left is a great iPhone game by SGN, Agency Wars, which is a spy-focused role-playing game. In this case, the consumer wanted to purchase an item but didn't have enough money, and they're just told a message, you don't have enough money. That's exactly the point in the game where you want to give them an opportunity to buy some more money because they want to purchase that item. Similarly, Enchanted Island, there is a little message that pops back up down the bottom saying you're out of energy. That message should be clickable. It should take you to a page where you can replenish your energy, and if you don't have enough dollars on that page, you should be able to go to the payment page of some sort. So there are some very simple tricks, or not even tricks, but obvious rules that every game developer should employ that is going to see significant uplift on monetization potential.
When you guys work with new customers, how often do you see them making these kind of really critical or really core mistakes where you say, gosh, this seems like common sense, but yet it isn't, at least not yet?
All the time, yeah. I mean, I think you have to assume that anyone who's playing your game for the first time clearly doesn't have the same background and understanding that you've taken to develop this over many months, and actually watching what players playing the game for the first time do and the problems they run into, will really assist you in your design and redesign of a game.
There's also different skill sets, right? So if you're a great game developer, you're not necessarily the best at monetizing, and you may not have the bandwidth. If you look at Mob Wars, that had 1 or 2 developers, and so at that point, actually putting in an offer wall that has sort of a payments aggregator is a great first step, because that's the way that you can actually get up and monetize without having to do too much customization. But as you get to a scale like a Zynga, they have entire teams dedicated to creating rich experiences and creating virality and payments.
Yeah, generally speaking, I agree. It's an afterthought. It's like you build your game and then suddenly you want to monetize, so you add an offer wall, you implement the first credit card processing company that comes through the door and not optimized. And I think there's a lot of progression potential there. One of the examples that we have is, for instance, one of our clients, which is called Small World, which is a 3D virtual world, went on and created Zong ATMs in the game. So you could actually see other users making transactions. They're actually using real money to buy virtual currency at Zong ATMs in the game, and you can see other people queuing up to actually make transactions. And that was brilliant, and it's working extremely well for them. But it's unfortunately one of too few examples of people being inventive in the payment space.
I would say that as you're building these games, every player on this bench has some element of a game advisory team that will work with you, play the game, and list the top 10 ways that you can optimize the monetization performance of a particular game, whether that's repricing things within your economy, making it more simple for the user to get to the monetization page, adding new features, whatever those elements are. We've played all these, we've seen what monetizes and what doesn't, and so you should take advantage of those thought process that all of us have experienced.
So let's take advantage. One of you gave us the example of the fact that replenishing energy in this game costs $2, or you can wait 15 minutes and get the same exact input. So the question is the user's time, 15 minutes, is that worth $2? How do you guys think about, or what tools do you have? And I'm actually going to start with Nick, because I think he has something that's particularly targeted at this, to help people figure out what the right price should be in their gaming environments for their different items.
Well, the tool we have to figure out the right exchange rate in your environment is a multivariate AB or ABC testing tool for your exchange rate. Setting the exchange rate is probably one of the most critical decisions you'll make at the beginning of monetizing your game. And you can do all the reverse